I've been playing online a lot in Smash Ultimate and seeing a lot of brand new players getting into the game. And honestly, it's really cool to see just new people popping up into the game. If you didn't know, Ultimate's actually one of the best-selling games of the franchise. But with that in mind, it also brings a lot of new players that are making a lot of mistakes that new players do. And with that, today I want to talk to you guys about how you can kind of remedy those mistakes and talk about 4 main mistakes that you should look out for and how to kind of go over these. And with that said, let's get started. So the first main mistake that I see literally all the time online is people spamming roll, or as well, spamming air dodge. Now, don't get me wrong, rolling back or rolling forward is honestly a pretty good idea in a decent amount of situations. It gives you a little bit of invincibility, it gets you out of that bad situation, and it's relatively quick, so, it's not way too bad. Now, as well, it did get nerfed in this new game, so the more times you use it, the slower it gets, so, that kind of does hurt it. But in general, when you're using that, you're probably thinking to yourself, this is an alright option, I'll just keep using it. Now, the problem comes when I, as the opponent, notice that you're rolling all the time. And when I notice that, I can simply put, just not throw out an attack, wait for you to roll, and then grab you, and then forward air you, and then forward smash you, and then do essentially whatever I freaking want to you because you're rolling all the time, you're very predictable, and honestly, even though it seems like an option that is just, completely safe because it's the roll, it's invincible, it's oftentimes not safe, and if you're using that all the time, you're going to be punished. Now, if you want some other options you can do, one is to simply put just shield and then grab. Another one is to shield and then jump. Another one is to just dash back and forth, because it'll make it hard for me to actually hit you and as well be a pretty good defensive option. Or as well, sometimes even jump towards me and throw in an option to stuff out my own aerial or stuff in my own tilt. There's a lot of different options in this game, a lot of different defensive things that you can do, and rolling all the time definitely isn't one of the best things to do, so try to break that habit, and if you can, I think you're going to do a lot better online. Now, the second thing that I want to say to you guys that is a huge mistake that I've seen in every single Smash game is new players coming into this game and thinking they are far worse than they actually are, or thinking that they are far better than they actually are. Now, this can happen in both ways, and I think especially if you're a person that's played, a Smash game in the past, but you just played against your friends all the time, you're probably going to go online, think that you're all that because, you can win usually against your friends, and then kind of get whooped. And at the other end, maybe you're a person getting right into the game, you don't know way too much about it, you go online, and again, the same thing happens to you. And in general, it creates a problem where you think you're either, again, much better than you are and you aren't doing that well, and you get kind of a bad mindset, or you're doing, pretty bad, and you already thought you were bad, and now you're just the worst player, and this all sucks. Now, the thing I want to say to you guys right here is that you kind of have to realize where your skill level actually is. If you keep playing online versus a variety of different players and you're not doing that well, then realize that maybe you aren't doing the best. But at the same time, realize that you aren't a completely horrible player. And realize that there's also a lot of stuff to improve on every single game. And every single match, sure, you might not be able to win that match, but if you can just learn a little bit about your character every match, feel out the game a little bit more, be able to do your inputs a bit better, that's kind of good enough, especially for a new player. I don't think you should be expecting yourself to do that well. And as well, you should expect yourself to actually maybe do a little bit better than you're expecting. Because a lot of the times as you're playing the game, as you're learning more and more stuff, you won't even have to put in too much thought and you'll be getting better and better. I think you have to realize that at some point, every single person that has ever played this game has been bad. And kind of where you go from that is what matters. Even the top players at the very top have lost against somebody else, and I've lost a lot against other people when they're just starting, but that doesn't mean that they're bad forever, and that doesn't mean that if they put in work, they won't become better. They will. And that's kind of how it goes. Now, speaking of another online habit that I've seen in every single game, spamming games online as much as humanly possible is maybe not the best idea to improve. Now, I'm going to say this right here, it is a good idea to just play a lot of the game. That's, pretty obvious, obviously. I mean, just playing the game, getting used to the game, used to the controls, all of that is really good. However, just playing the game all the time and not really thinking about what you're doing and not really thinking about what you could be doing and thinking about how you can improve is going to make so that you plateau pretty quickly. If you essentially just get into every single game and autopilot and you never think about what your opponent is thinking about, never get used to their movements and just focus on yourself all the time, you're going to reach a point where there's not much else you can do and you just kind of feel like the game is done. There's nothing else to do now. However, if you put in a lot of that time, not just grinding the game, but instead going into training mode, actually, spending time thinking about different matchups, thinking about how your certain moves interact with other characters' certain moves, seeing where you're messing up, and actually thinking about how you can interact with your opponent and do things better, that's going to make you a lot better, a lot faster. As well, of course, learning how to lab combos, learning how to lab strings that might potentially work if your opponent messes up. There's a lot of stuff that you can put your time into, and while yes, it is a good idea to spam a lot of games, if you want to become a really good player, or if you want to even get good, relatively quick, just playing games, I'm going to say, isn't the best idea, because you will get kind of stuck, because you won't realize where your mistakes are coming from, and that means you'll just keep making them, and yeah, you'll get kind of stuck pretty quick. The final thing I want to talk about here is one that I've seen from just a ton of people commenting, and I've heard, all over the place, and that is new players that want to pick up a ton of different characters. And I'm honestly going to say right here, this is probably one of the #1 things that gets you stuck and makes it you can't improve really all that quickly. Now, I want to say right here, you can play a large variety of characters. You see streamers doing this all the time, having fun with this all the time, but I want to go into how they do that, but how they're still good. And the first thing I'm going to say right here is that they have a main character, or some main characters that they put the majority of their time into. Now, how you want to find this character is honestly just, play like a week or two of this game, figure out how you like, figure out who's really fun for you, and then pick a few characters, probably 1 to 2, and then just stop with those characters. Just play them as your main characters, at least for a while. Now, the reason I'm going to say this is because, not because I want to make you not have fun, not because I want to make you not play a variety of different characters, it's because it'll actually help you get really good at the game a lot faster. And the reason for this is because if you're playing like 20, 30 different characters, you're going to be having to learn what every single one of those things do, how every single one of their moves interact with other characters every single match. And obviously there's like 75 people, that's going to take forever. However, if you pick up just probably 1 character, but maybe even 2, you're going to be splitting up your time, maybe 50% playing that character and 50% playing everyone else. Sure, that other 50% will just be a ton of fun, just, playing whatever and learning a lot about the game, but then the 50% playing with your main character is going to give you time to learn the very basic mechanics, because you'll already kind of know how all their moves work. You're going to learn the intricacies of spacing, of zoning, of getting combos, kind of everything a lot quicker in this way, and you'll still be able to play, whatever you want to. But by putting at least 50% of your time into a main character, you're going to be wasting a whole lot less time than if you played a ton of different people. And there you guys go. Those are 4 things that I personally believe that a lot of lower level players make a huge mistake by just kind of doing all the time, and how you can really easily remedy these problems and hopefully get a lot better at the game, or just not make nearly as many mistakes. Now, if you guys have your own tips, make sure to leave those down in the comment section down below. Tell me if you want to see any more videos like this in the future. Top of the screen right now is a card for more Smash Ultimate videos like this one's, videos on discussions about how to improve and just kind of how to play the game. So hopefully you guys are going to enjoy those. Hit subscribe if you want to see more like this in the future. And as always, guys, thank you for watching again. Have a smashing day.